Well, please sign back here from behind the curtain when you have 2 minutes left.
Yeah,
Cool?
perfect.
What's your name?
Catherine.
Oh,
Catherine.
Sorry. You guys.
You didn't introduce us. Did you hear any music?
Yes, I did. I just heard your new song, Weary the Night.
Good.
Is that pre-rolling? Oh.
Are we all good?
We are good.
So Canada's had a love affair with you. I mean, I think every one of your albums has went #1 here.
So far, we're very lucky. All the singles have gone #1 in Canada. I'm very grateful. I love my Canadian fans so much, and Canada was always one of the first places to really understand my music and understand my vision and understand the mixture of music, technology, vision, fashion all together, and the performance art element. And I am very appreciative of my Canadian monsters.
And there's been many renditions of Born This Way. I've heard a country rendition, I've heard a Bollywood rendition. Is there going to be any other ones coming out?
There are lots of remixes. There will always be a sort of metamorphosis of all the songs that I do. I wanted to do Born This Way in lots of different ways so that it could translate to as many cultures as possible, and also prepare people for the breadth of the album. I really pushed myself musically as a songwriter, as a musician on this album to expand the meaning of pop dance music. It's really sort of fantasy pop music, and I'm really excited for you all to hear it.
Would you say that this album is your best yet?
Yes.
For sure?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And what do you think is the main difference between this album and your previous album?
There is a maintaining of the synthetic and electronic quality of the previous 2 albums, but a evolution in the soulfulness of the vocal mixed with the electronicness. It shows much more of my abilities as an artist, both as a songwriter and as a vocalist, as a pianist. The lyrics sort of take you through this journey of the psychology of my life and my belief that birth is not something that happens once, it's something that happens over and over again throughout your life, that you can be reborn, and that your identity is something that you put on and decide for yourself.
I was reading that you said that when you wrote Born This Way, you had to release all your insecurities to do so.
Yes.
What was your major insecurity?
Well, fear. Fear of acceptance, years of being bullied and wanting to feel a part of everything else and feeling like an outsider. And now in my life, realizing that the more positive and more beautiful way to approach your identity is to put on, in a metaphoric way, as many wigs, as many hats, as many dresses and jackets and shoes as you can until you ultimately find the one that best suits you, and then honor that image of yourself and project it every day of your life. Be first and foremost married to your own heart and your own soul. This album, in a lot of ways, the religious quality of it in terms of the sonic nature, the Gregorian chanting and the church bells and the organs, it's meant to be a representation of pop culture as religion, not religion in the sense of the institution of religion, but religion as faith, religion as hope. And the fans are my hope. The fans are my faith. So the album is posturing that pop culture can be your religion. Pop culture can be your way of having faith in yourself, having hope for yourself, envisioning who you are and envisioning your potential and becoming that.
Now, you have a lot of young fans, and I was at your Toronto show when you brought up Maria
Yes,
on stage.
Maria!
So you found her on the internet. You basically made her a household name in Canada, especially. How do you go about finding people online, or do you search it out yourself? Does someone send you links?
Maria. I found Maria on Twitter. Everyone had been tweeting at me her video, and I watched it and I started to cry. Immediately. I just burst into tears. And it was because when I wrote that song, the intention for me was to inspire as many people as I could to recognize the beauty within themselves and recognize the potential within themselves, even in times of struggle, or maybe not in times of struggle, maybe just as a moment of rejoicing and celebration and a time of happiness. And to see such a young girl understand the implications of what that song was saying, it made me so excited. It made me feel like I was on the right track. It made me feel born this way.
You've also said that you don't think there's a lot of expectations put on pop stars anymore, whether it's songwriting for themselves or performing live versus lip syncing. Why do you think there's such a low expectation these days?
Well, I think there's very high expectations for me. So I don't know that that statement holds for everyone, but if I could be more specific, I would say that I think perhaps not everyone has expected, especially when I came on to the pop music scene, expected to witness a female with such strong opinions. And I have very, very strong opinions about culture, about politics, about freedom, about identity. And I think that that has perhaps been the thing that people have expected the least of me and of many women in particular.
You have some really notable artists on this new album. I've heard Clarence Clements is on this new album. I've heard Brian May is on this new album. Is there any others that you want to...
Well, Mutt Lange produced You and I, and but other than that, there's nobody else. It's just me. I am the other notable artist, hopefully. But I worked with people that I have admired and emulated.
Well, you're a huge Springsteen fan.
Huge Springsteen fan. And Clarence, his sound is so particular and so unique as a saxophone player to the E Street Band, and having him play on the album in a lot of ways is a symbol of my youth, because I grew up listening to Springsteen records and I grew up listening to Clarence on the saxophone, dancing with my dad in the living room, with my side ponytail, with my mom and my dad. And I remember when I first heard Clarence play on the song Hair on the album, which is about me saying, I've had enough, this is my prayer, that I'll die living just as free as my hair. And I'm singing about how my mom and dad used to make me change my clothes or change my hair before I left the house because they thought that I was too crazy. And when I heard his saxophone on that record, and then later on The Edge of Glory, it took me back to such a youthful place. And the album is very revealing in that way. Like I said, it's still got a plastic, synthetic, and electronic and dance quality to it, but there is something that is very revealing sonically about the album. It reveals a lot of my joy in the lyrics and in the melodies, but then on the reverse side, it reveals my aggressiveness and my strength and my darkness in that way. The beats are very hard on this album and very aggressive, and I am very hard and very aggressive in my approach to life. I am a fighter, so the album represents that in that way. But then you have these moments of nuance through the saxophone that Clarence plays, through the guitar that Brian plays, through the choices in the beats and the bells and the chanting on the album. You really start to get to know me so much better as an artist and as a person through this record. Whenever I hear Hair, I just burst into tears. I can't even listen to it. And The Edge of Glory, just hearing him play on that album, on my music, it takes me back to my youth. And in that way, I'm revealing more of myself to my fans.
I was also reading that one of the, co-stars of your Born This Way video, Rico the Zombie,
Mhm.
He's from Montreal.
Yeah.
Is he going to be joining you tonight?
On stage?
Yeah.
No.
No?
He could, if you'd like to.
How did you discover him?
Through Nicola.
Oh.
He was one of Nicola's muses for the men's collection for Mugler. And Nicola's in the House of Gaga. And he's also the creative director for Mugler. And I met Rico, and as soon as I met him, I felt that he was, in so many ways, the artistic epitome of what Born This Way is all about. Born This Way is not, I was born perfect, or I was born a superstar, meaning I was born a famous pop singer, or I was born privileged, or beautiful, or perfect. That's not what Born This Way is about. Born This Way is I was born with an eternal amount of potential, and that is what accesses your inner superstar. That eternal amount of potential that you can at any point rebirth yourself, reimagine yourself. There's a song I wrote on the album called, it's called Amen Fashion Black Jesus, and the song is about wearing out your vision, style your passion, and Black Jesus represents leaving old symbolism behind you, all the things that you were taught to believe, and wearing out a new symbolism, a new vision for yourself, something that some people may not understand or like, or that they didn't learn, but that is now your new belief. And Rico is that for me. He is and was always destined to be tattooed that way. That is who he is. He was born this way.
Well, you definitely are a superstar, and I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
If-
Thank you to everyone watching that you care so much about my music. I appreciate it. Hello, this is Lady Gaga, and you are on simpatico.ca.